We're here to solve this challenging star battle called Square Dance. The challenge comes in part from this being a 3-star puzzle, not in difficulty, but in the number of stars we have to place. We've got one easy region on the left side that fills in this way, but really a key step is going to be thinking about these squares and thinking about how do we put 3 stars into them. One thing to note, which is probably an observation that you wouldn't know entering this puzzle, but if you've tried to construct or even looked at the puzzle like this, is to recognize that you can put 2 stars in a 2x3 box, but we're always going to need to put 1 star in any 1x3 box to finish this out. So what that will imply is that on the side of one of these spaces, so most obviously the center of squares can't take stars, but any edge, the center of any edge of a square in this puzzle cannot take a star. And that's because if we put a star in a cell like this, we would mark this off, we would get to where we've got 2 stars, not 3 stars in that box. And so to get this started, not just this 1x3, but every 1x3 is going to have this constraint. So this cell, this cell, this cell, this cell are eliminated for this square. And do the same around each of these. Mark 4 cells off that are the edges of the squares we're touching. Those are going to actually clear a lot of space and be pretty key to get started in this puzzle, I'm pretty sure. I haven't looked at counts across rows and columns. It's a little trickier in a 3-star puzzle, but these eliminations, just based off the geometry, have to be essential to get started. One thing that I see is the center region that had a lot of space before now actually has just 3 2x2 squares for it. So the stars have to go in these 3 spots. This bottommost region has 3 3-cell regions where stars go, but not in this cell and not in this cell in that adjoining region based on where these sit. And that actually now splits this square exactly into a star in this bottom 1x3 and 2 stars up above. So we'll cancel what's around those, cancel these, moves this node to the left, puts this in, moves this node to the right, cancels these cells. This star moves up, cancels this cell. And now we have another pattern that you may not recognize, but now we've killed a corner of the cell. We have a star that's going to be in this 1x3 edge, a star that's going to be in this 1x3 edge. Those cancel these positions, and we must get a star in the opposite corner. So you can't cancel 2 adjacent corners in the same square. Looks to be a micro rule we're learning through solving the puzzle. Another thing that I haven't looked at yet, but is pretty interesting to me right now is remember that we have 1 star forced in this row, and this is a row that actually has 2 1x3 stretches across squares. And remember, this must take at least 1 star, could take 2. This must take at least 1 star, could take 2. And so with this, we've got all 3 stars accounted for. And I can do this shading in some other spots, but like a lot of these regions in the grid are going to have this banding. There are going to be 4 bands across the rows in the spots I just colored. And even an implied band, here's a band down here, this in pink has to have 1 star. There are 2 stars already in this row, and so these have to cancel. This in green cancels these. That moves this up, cancels this cell. That now again means there's a star here, a star here, a star in this corner cell. And I'm trying to see what more we can do. Actually, if there's 1 star here and 1 star here, there's 1 star down here in orange. And coming to this lower right region, which we haven't looked at yet, we've got a star here, a star here. This gets canceled. We've got to put a star here. Notice that means that now if I come to this color, 1 star, 2 star, 3 stars. So there's 1 star here in these cells, which means there's 2 stars down below, 1, 2, that go in. That pushes this star down. It actually finishes this bottommost row, moves this star up, this star over. That finishes this row, and so there's 1 star down here. So we're getting some headway by just working through the counts of stars and some of the limitations we have from other spaces. So let's see where the next spot we can make some progress is. And one thing to do, which we haven't marked, once we actually have this green has just 1 star in it, we have 2 stars that are going to be above that green row in these 2 spaces and clear out some cells around it. And now these rows in the middle are getting pretty full. And actually where I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a straddler, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 counting over here, still with a straddler, so that's going to be 4. So let me pull out another color and sort of show what I'm thinking about. I'm doing a mental count of stars in these rows, and I'm looking effectively at everything I'm marking in brown while doing this. So these are all stars right now in the grid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So first thing is everything else that's not in those spaces is not a star. And then coming back to the spot, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this moving down 6. This is where I had 6 up above with a straddler, and the straddler has to move to the filled space. So cancels this cell, this moves left, cancels this moves left. These come over, this moves left. In the space I now have 1, 2, 3 with this corner. This has to now move up because of the counts. This moves to the left because of the counts. I got one of these stars, but not both going up, so I actually can't take this cell because I would move both of these up. I got lots of progress there. I've actually finished this column. And have I got other stuff I can mark into the grid? One for sure, I only have one more star to go in this 5th column, and it has to be in one of these 2 cells, but that means I can't put a star here or here. So I'm going to have a 2 with a 1 in the split of these by rows. And if I look at this count, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have just 6 spaces to put a star across this spot in these 2 columns. So I mark those in, cancel these out. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces in the 2nd and 3rd column. That moves this over, cancels this. That finishes this column, puts in 2 more. Those now push up this star, which pushes down this path. So we're actually getting lots of headway now with all the notes we've marked in. Before I go too far, I got to cancel this out. Red has a star in it, and these 2 are already placed, so these get canceled. And remember, brown had a star in it, so that means there's one more star in these cells, and that means there's 1 star in these cells over here. I guess I can show that in another color. 1 in purple, 2 in purple, 3 in purple, so there are 2 up here. Those will cancel the rest of this row then, filling those in. We now actually have, in this rightmost column, a whole lot of this region canceled except for 1, 2, 3 spots in the space, and actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for these last 2 columns to get the stars in. So we have just enough space to put them in. Marks off this. Brown again had just 1 star in it, so this comes up. We have to get one of these over, but we don't know enough about either of them yet. Maybe there's something in the counts in these columns that will help us. So for sure, it looks like we're going to come from the left in doing this. So this is a column that has 2 stars in, 1 cell left. So this comes in, that makes this empty. So now this column needs to get another star in it to make it work. That has to be here. These are empty. This next column over needs 1 more star to make it work. That's got to come from the left. Now we have a competing count, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It does not need this cell to get 7. So this has to go to the right, moves this orange to the right, this to the left, this to the left, this to the left. Also moves this up, which moves this down. With these pushed in, this is finished that column, so this goes over, this goes up, and we've done the grid. So really good workout. You can see even through the whole range of colors I'm using in the puzzle that it had a lot of different logic behind it. The key step was really working through the square dance and understanding how that geometry impacts star battle placements as a whole, particularly seeing these 1x3 sections to mark off then cells like this and this and this and this around a square. That was one of the key starting points. Then even recognizing that you would have places where we know for sure there are at least 2 stars. There could be more. All 3 could be in these 6 green cells, but there's at least 1 over here, at least 1 over here. And those work together with placements we had already put into the grid to get headway in different spots. So a really great use of the geometry, a really great Saturday puzzle. Hope you learned something through this video, and we'll see you again soon.